Hello everyone and Merry Christmas. Today I want to give you my review of red wine. I couldn't let this Christmas season go through and not review a Christmas movie, and what better way than to review a Christmas movie that came out in 2024 that I missed. I think it's the perfect time to review this, so I'm going to review Red One for you. I was interested in this film. I thought the cast was good, the idea is good. The trailers didn't quite do it for me, but I was still excited to see it. And I wanted to give you a review to watch, whether it's after or in between different Christmas events, or maybe you just need 10 to 15 minutes to sneak away from family for a minute and just relax. I'm here with this review for you. But before we go any farther, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. We're getting closer and closer to 300 subscribers, so if you are new here, please consider subscribing, and if you are not new here, please share my video around with any of your friends and family. You can even throw this video up on the TV while you're opening Christmas presents. That'll really help the channel grow and it'll absolutely make my day. So this is the new Christmas film starring Chris Evans and The Rock. And I want to go ahead and start out by saying that I think this film is all right. That's just about the best thing I could say for it. That's it. It's fine, I guess. Like, it's not horrible. It's not like an abomination of film, but it's not a good movie. I think one of the big things is the script. I think the script, which is the base for any film, is just not good. And when you have a script that's a little bit rough, it's really difficult to build something upon a base that's so shaky. But starting out kind of on the positive side here, I think the script does do a really good job of the world building here. There's some interesting things that they do in this that they kind of have in their like magical realm that they kind of explore, we get kind of introduced to, and I think they do a good job with that. They show us kind of how Santa operates and kind of this whole side of their reality, and I think it's really neat. They did a good job of setting all of that up. They're not trying to throw too much information at you all at once. It just all kind of flows and it works. But the script as a whole, I would say, is not very good. The story, I think, is definitely something that you could predict. I know I certainly did. Nothing in this is new or innovative, and that's fine if you're executing on your story well. You can go over things we've seen time and time again, as long as it's executed well, and it's just not here. This whole thing is just very, very average, or maybe even a little bit below average. I would also say that this film is too long. It's over 2 hours, and I think you easily could have cut 15 minutes out of this film and it would flow a lot better. They also don't really do a good job of building the characters' relationships. You would think kind of like a buddy action Christmas comedy with Chris Evans and The Rock, that would be one of the main things they focus on, is making sure we buy their relationship, but they just don't really do that here. One example of just kind of how this is in the film, there's a scene where there's these two characters and they're together in a car and they start to have kind of more of a deeper conversation, giving some like real true advice, but to that point in the movie, I just thought this conversation isn't really earned. I don't really feel like these two characters have the relationship to be having this conversation at this point in the film. They just hadn't bonded enough to make this conversation make sense. And there's stuff like that kind of all throughout the film that makes this film not really work that great for me. Another thing that really stood out to me is there's a lot of Christmas movie cliches in this film, and they could have done something really interesting with it. This seems like the kind of film where, yeah, they'd have Christmas cliches, but they would kind of have a commentary on it. They kind of poke fun with it, but they don't do that here. All of the cliches they have are very much so sincere. So that didn't really work for me. But the best thing really I could say about the story as a whole is that it's at least serviceable. It's not completely horrible. I know I had a lot of complaints, but like, it's not just awful, but it's definitely not good. It's definitely below average. Another thing with the script that really stood out to me is the dialogue. I don't think the dialogue is very good. It seems very stiff. It doesn't seem natural. It doesn't seem like how people really talk. And we have some talented actors in this cast. So if it feels stiff from them doing what they can with it, then if you have some lesser actors, then this would really kind of fall off the rails, I think. And there's even a lot of times where somebody will say like some sort of acronym for something, and Chris Evans will ask, "Oh, what does that mean?" And then somebody will explain, "Oh, it's just some sort of magical Christmas thing." That got old pretty quick, and a lot of the dialogue in this film is too on the nose, if that makes sense. I feel like for the most part, the cast tried to make the script work, especially Chris Evans, but it just doesn't work. And unfortunately, this film isn't really funny to me either. You can tell they had these moments where they expected the audience to laugh, and it just never made me laugh. It's supposed to be an action comedy, but the comedy didn't land for me. I had maybe one or two moments where I kind of cracked a smile a little bit at a joke, but like that's not really what you're wanting from a comedy. The characters in this aren't anything to write home about either. They're very kind of one dimensional, honestly. We don't learn a lot about them. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of Christmas cliches. Well, that goes into these characters as well. You got somebody who's on the naughty list who needs to learn how to be a better person. And you have somebody who's not seeing the magic of Christmas, but then maybe eventually they can learn to see the magic of Christmas again. These characters are just one dimensional, and so are their arcs. And those are basically the arcs you'll see in some just average whatever Christmas movie. It's all stuff you've seen before, and it's not like it's done super well just to kind of make you forgive it. And I really hate to say this because I like a lot of the actors in this film, but the performances aren't really great either. And I think part of that stems from the script not being good, but some of it to me kind of seems like an effort thing. I'll say it's the same with a lot of the rest of the film. It's not completely garbage, but it's just not good. Chris Evans definitely had the best performance in this film. He definitely seemed like he was trying his best with this script. He was really trying, but the script just held him back. There's not much he could do with it. But even with that being said, his performance still wasn't even quite as good as something like his performance in Ghosted. He wasn't as good as I know he can be, but again, there wasn't really a lot for him to work with. He still does have that Chris Evans charm, though. The Rock kind of just seemed like he was sleepwalking through this performance a bit. He was serviceable, but he just did the thing of him playing himself. That can work. He kind of built his career on doing that, but this just seemed like it was lacking the energy that those other performances typically have. J.K. Simmons was good in this, although he was only in this film just for a little bit. Him as Santa was fun casting, and it fit the world pretty well. J.K. Simmons is always a win, but like with everyone else, the script didn't give him anything to work with. And I really wish we got to see more of him in this film, although I understand story reasons why he wasn't. Lisa Liu was another main character in this, and she was kind of like The Rock to me in this film. She kind of seemed like she was sleepwalking through this. I've seen better performances from her. Kiernan Shipka plays the villain in this film, and I really like Kiernan Shipka. I think she's incredibly talented. I've really enjoyed her performance in everything I've seen her in, but this wasn't a good performance. Although, I guess it's nothing to be ashamed of because she's in good company with other good actors in this film not really being that great. To me, it almost felt like she was barely on set for this film. It kind of seems like they just rushed her in and said, "Hey, stand in front of the camera and read these lines." With this kind of role, I can picture her giving a really good and fun performance. But unfortunately, it didn't happen, and overall, it was kind of bland. I think the action here is hit or miss for me, I guess kind of like the rest of the film. There's some good and fun action sequences, but there's just as many that are kind of just awkward and a little bit lame and broken up way too much with editing. One of the things I took note of during some of these action sequences is they tried to do the Ant-Man thing of characters shrinking down and going back up to size, but it just looked really awkward. It did not look anywhere near as good as how Marvel handles it. It just looked pretty goofy to me. So I think the action as a whole just kind of levels out to average. I will say, I think the costume, the character, and the set designs are all really well done. I was impressed with some of the sets and the design that they had there. I really liked the creature design all throughout this. I thought it was really well done. The CGI for the most part in this film just wasn't great. There's a lot that's very obviously on a green screen, and there's quite a few of fully CGI characters that you just do not believe are right there in the scene. So I think there's some compositing issues there with the characters and with the green screen. So that could have used some more work to really sell these effects a little bit better. So even though the CGI can be rough at times, what they get to do practically is good. I really like the practical makeup and the costumes. Those are really well done. Those are some of the best effects in the film. I don't think Red One will become a new Christmas classic. I'm not dying to watch this again, and I highly doubt I'm going to watch it again next year. There are just too many incredible Christmas films to go back and rewatch this one year after year. If you like The Rock and if you like Chris Evans and you just want something you can throw on that's Christmas, you were kind of looking forward to this, then maybe this would be worth it to you. Maybe you can get some enjoyment out of this. But the characters are shallow. They hit every Christmas cliche in the book, basically. The script isn't great, and that leads to some bad dialogue and some moments in the story where it just doesn't quite make sense. Doesn't feel like they really built up relationships. Chris Evans is charming, but that's about it. I didn't hate this film, but I definitely cannot recommend it to everybody. I'm going to have to give Red One a 2 out of 5. But that's it. That's my review of Red One. Have you seen this film? Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. And since it's Christmas, also in the comments down below, let me know what your go-to Christmas movie is. I think if I were to have mine, it would probably be some version of A Christmas Carol. I think that's personally one of the best stories ever written. But I'd love to hear what your go-to Christmas movie is. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who's watched any videos for this past year. I really appreciate it. Since it's Christmas, go ahead and like the video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. You can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere, @CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.